Hi folks, welcome to the truth about metabolism. Now, the word metabolism gets thrown around an awful lot, especially when you're talking about weight loss. And like many other people, I used to think of metabolism as how fast my body burned the calories that I ate. Well, that may be part of it, but your metabolism is doing much more than just burning calories. Now, near the end of this presentation, I'm going to be giving you 3 natural ways to boost your metabolism. I should really say optimize your metabolism. But if I gave you those 3 tips right now, you really wouldn't truly understand exactly what it is that you're improving. So let me explain a little more about what this thing called metabolism really does. Then once you actually start to use the 3 tips, you're going to know that you're doing much more for your health than just losing weight. And to be clear, these 3 tips are not only for people who need to lose weight. In fact, everyone can benefit their health tremendously by optimizing the function of their metabolism. And you're going to see exactly why in just a few minutes. I believe that this is probably some of the most important and actionable information that you're going to get about your health from anyone, anywhere. And that's a bold statement, yes. And I want to be clear, I'm not a doctor. So let me introduce myself. I'm Gregory Palumbo, and people mostly know me as a pianist and composer. Because I was composing the soundtracks for Dr. Frank Lawless's guided imagery programs that Dr. Phil features on his television show, I started to see the latest and most innovative approaches to weight loss. And I was uncomfortably overweight myself, so some of these ideas fascinated me because they made sense, and more importantly, they had excellent science and real-world results to back them up. Now, I had been way too overworked and stressed out to ever stick with any of the dozens of attempts of weight loss I had made over the course of over 20 years. The programs out there always ask for too much time to set aside for exercise and too much willpower to not eat the foods that I loved in the quantities I enjoyed. So I'd usually exercise for 3 or 4 days, I'd injure myself or get sick, and that would be the end of my exercise program. And as for my diet, I could never take all the sacrificing and deprivation for more than just a few days in a row. Then I'd crack and raid the kitchen like a famished T-Rex or something. Well, thanks to Dr. Phil and Dr. Lawless, I was seeing some really cutting-edge approaches to losing weight. But other than being in the right place at the right time, I'm exactly like you. I was sick and tired of being sick and tired. And it seemed like all anyone could say was, "That's just what happens when you get older." Well, folks, here's the good news. That's just not true. Now, I want to be nice. After all, I have friends who are doctors. But I've got to tell you, it's very hard for me to keep my cool about this. You see, the doctors are the ones who started this stuff. Well, that's just what happens when you get older. Here's a nice yellow pill to take for that. It comes down to one thing and one thing only. And if you don't believe this, then you really should go find a rerun of I Love Lucy to watch instead. It all comes down to money. And by telling you that you should just expect to have these problems because you've gotten older gives them the power to control your health. And that takes the power away from you. But the reality is that the doctors, the pharmaceutical companies, and the health goods industry have really hijacked your health. And they don't just take one ransom and then give you your health back. They've set it up so that we willingly give them ransom after ransom after ransom for life. We literally get hooked on their medications, supplements, and products. Now, what I wish for you today, more than to come away with some great tips for optimizing your body's functioning, I wish for you that you come away with the ability to optimize your mind's performance. And step 1 is to stop believing that you're falling apart just because you're getting older. And if that's a concept you're completely, irreversibly married to, I'm afraid this is where we should part ways. Because if you're falling apart, some of it may indeed be from getting a little older. But how do you separate actual aging from poor maintenance? Folks, this exact same principle applies to almost everything. Take a car, for example. An antique car that's not maintained ends up being non-operational, rusted, and in a junkyard. But maintain that same car, and its value dwarfs new cars, and its function is equal or even better in cases. And the same goes for you as goes for the car. Maintain yourself, which your metabolism is the core of that maintenance, and your value skyrockets the older you get, and you function as well or even better than your young version. The bottom line is, with age comes experience and wisdom, which translates to all sorts of value, as long as you have maintained yourself, so to speak. With a car, you change the oil, repair the damage, and replace worn-out parts. That applies to being human exactly the same way. But before you think that the way to repair damage and replace worn-out parts is to enlist the nearest plastic surgeon, I'm going to propose to you that there is a much more effective way to repair and replace than to do it from the outside. In fact, what if there was a way to program your body to optimally repair itself from the inside? Well, there actually is. Humans have a very powerful set of built-in systems that specifically repair and replace aging parts. Those systems work great when we're young. And not really because we're young, but because we're active. It just happens to be that for many of us, the last time we were active was in our youth. The proof of this is simple. Young people who are not active end up with all of the same ailments that we get because we got older. Yes, all of them. Diabetes, high blood pressure, joint trouble, no energy, lots of injuries. So what really determines how optimal your systems are functioning is activity level. Low activity equals more injuries and worse health, no matter how old you are. And the reason why? We're going to see in a minute how this relates to metabolism. What I want you to consider about right now is how conventional thinking teaches us to believe our metabolic rate dictates how much energy we have. The reality is the exact opposite. Our activity levels dictate our metabolic rate. So here's the great news. If you can change your activity level, you can change your metabolic rate. And I did promise you 3 different ways to supercharge your metabolic rate, which I will get to in just a bit, so keep watching. Now, you hopefully completely understand that your metabolic rate is within your power to positively affect, and that your metabolism does not have to slow down as you get older. So, now you know that your metabolism is not a prisoner of your age. But now, what does metabolism really do? This whole what is metabolism question never occurred to me for years. Like most people, I threw the word around like I've heard most of the experts do. But really, what is it? Is it a person, a place, a thing? Seriously, before I get into it right now, try to actually come up with a definition by yourself. What's metabolism mean to you? All right. Now that you have your definition, here's what metabolism really does. You see, pardon me, once you understand what metabolism does, you take a sip of water. And now, since you already know that you can affect your metabolism and improve it, optimize is the word here. By the way, not fast. optimize. A fast metabolism, by the way, is not a healthy thing, and that's the subject for another webinar. But we want optimal. Now I think you're going to get extremely excited about how this will positively impact your health. And remember, I'm still going to be sharing the top 3 most scientifically sound methods of boosting your metabolism that Dr. Lawless and I have found in our research. So here's the real definition of metabolism. Metabolism is the set of life-sustaining chemical transformations within the cells of living organisms. Okay? Well, let me explain my reaction here. You see, my definition that I had in my mind for metabolism was that it was a thing. Turns out, without looking past the first sentence at Wikipedia, my metabolism wasn't much a thing. It's a set of transformations. It's a set of things. Now, I don't know about you all, but I've noticed those set of transformations don't work perfectly. Let me explain what I'm saying. Our cells are constantly being replaced and repaired by the systems that metabolism controls. When cells are not quite perfectly replaced, a little flaw occurs. That flaw is what we call aging. Think about this. The chemical transformations include the creation of DNA. This is the blueprint of how to build your body. And it's specifically when our DNA isn't perfectly copied that we end up aging. Worse, when that copy is really defective, which means the instructions, that's the DNA code, has an error in it, a cell can begin replicating uncontrollably, which is precisely how some forms of cancer occur. So, if you had your preference, you would want the process that regulates how your cells repair themselves to work as perfectly as possible, wouldn't you? Of course you do. The more optimum your metabolism functions, then the better your body repairs and copies your cells. And when your body is repairing and copying cells as best as possible, then your body is very simply going to be in its healthiest form possible. This is such an important point. I'm going to repeat it for you. You have to really get how important this is to your health. Because by knowing this, you've been empowered to have the best opportunity to live a healthy, happy, and successful life. Here it is again. Optimize your metabolism, and you optimize how well your body stays young and healthy. Yes, I said young, because your body only feels aged when it's being inefficient at repairing itself. Now, you know that you can definitely help your body repair itself. Just optimize your metabolism, and the rest follows. So for argument's sake, let's say that you've really shot your metabolism. You've been a true couch potato, lots of bad food, no exercise. You feel old. You're not agile anymore. You tire easily. You get sick and injured easily. The list of negatives go on and on and on when you're out of shape and your body's metabolism is sluggish and inefficient. Despite having run yourself into the ground, do you have a chance of recreating a youthful, energetic metabolism? And is it crazy to hope that you can even reverse some of the damage you've done to yourself? It is decidedly not crazy to think you can stop the negative effects of having a sluggish metabolism. And consequently, you can actually reverse some of the aging and damage you've done to yourself. In fact, the human body is an amazing machine. Maintained properly, and that's what I'm going to be sharing with you in just a moment. And your body is much more capable of stopping time, even reversing it, than you ever suspected possible. So, this leads us to the million-dollar question. What can you do to actually optimize your metabolic rate? Well, as I hinted earlier, exercise optimizes metabolism. but I almost don't want to tell you that. The reason I don't like to tell people to exercise is the same reason why doctors prescribe pills instead of telling you it. Most people simply will not exercise consistently. And who can blame you? I was on that list as well. I get it. Who among us really can set aside 30 minutes to an hour every day to exercise without ever missing? No one has that kind of time long term. Life just has a way of throwing things our way that makes it very difficult to always put aside time for exercising. If you've heard me speak before, you know that I detest long exercise programs. And for me, long means anything over a few minutes. Now, fortunately, your metabolic system will help in this regard. All you really need to do is get yourself out of breath. That's an indicator that you've stoked the fires of your metabolism. After you're out of breath, the effect of exercise lasts hours. This is because of a phenomenon known as excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. The benefit is that your body is actually burning more calories than it normally would, even after you finished exercising. This is why I tirelessly repeat the following. Just do short bursts of rigorous activity multiple times a day. Seriously, if you're doing anything else, you're really wasting time. Now, you may enjoy that activity, but you're fooling yourself if you believe that it's getting you into great shape and health. In fact, I can point to a dozen studies that show that exercising a lot not only does not help you, it leads to injury and wear and tear, especially for runners. The wear on the heart, another article, another study came out just recently on that very subject. Look, you don't need extra friends. You got Facebook, so I'm not going to sugarcoat anything for you. I'm here to hopefully help you, not to be your buddy. To tell you a little bit more about who I am, I coach some of the top executives, celebrities, and sports figures in the world. And they don't pay me to walk the red carpet with them. They pay me so that when they walk the red carpet, all eyes are on them. Do you get what I'm saying here? I'm trying to tell you that I'm about to not be very nice. I'm sorry. I'm a coach. That means if I sugarcoat, my clients fail. If my clients fail, then I'm no longer able to make a living at this. So I've developed a style. I seem nice, but at the right times I'm going to lay into you, especially if I detect you're falling back into your comfort zone. Your comfort zone is what brought you here today. It's nice for watching a ball game and having a glass of wine or a beer, but it's absolutely no use to you if you want to improve your life. So that was me preparing you for what I'm about to say. Stop trying to fix yourself. If that were truly the best way to improve, there would be no coaches in sports and no teachers for music. Do you think that any of your favorite ball players and musicians just picked up their sport or instrument and became great on their own? That has actually never happened, not once. Yet you have insisted on doing that exact same thing for your health. Worse, you go to your doctor for coaching, and he's handing you pills. I don't know who's more stupid, the docs or us. Do you ever consider what these chemicals actually are in these medications and supplements? The long-term effect on our bodies, our minds, our health, etc. from taking these concoctions? Look, I know there's a place for medicine, no doubt whatsoever. It's saved many of my family and friends' lives. However, for goodness sake, take some responsibility for yourself. If you're not exercising every day, you're foolish. Period. It's exactly the same as running a car with no oil or coolant. You would never do that. But the way the health industry has set us up, it's no wonder so few of us actually do exercise every day. Now, I'm going to give you a few techniques to boost your metabolism, optimize that metabolism, better word, that do not involve exercise as well. Okay? But I'm going to say this one final time. If you're not exercising every day, and I mean every, not this 5 times a week crud that some scientists in a lab came up with. But I'm going to say this one final time, but not another time. There was a repeat in that slide. So, before I get to the non-exercise methods of losing weight, let me explain something. The key to exercising is what I mentioned a little while ago. The EPOC, the excess post-exercise oxygen consumption. This effect means that the effect of getting out of breath lasts hours. So what difference does it make if you exercise for 90 seconds or 90 minutes, as long as you get out of breath? Well, it makes a huge difference. If you exercise 90 minutes, you've just spent an extra 87 minutes that you could have been with your family, working on creating more wealth for yourself, or doing something you truly enjoy. On that last note, if you truly enjoy long workouts, well, great then. You're a vast minority, and you're likely not watching this presentation. Most of us hate long workouts, for good reason. They leave us drained and sore. Perfect condition for being productive the rest of the day, right? Do I sound like I don't support the idea of long workouts? Well, good. I do not. There's plenty of other people in this world who will promote that baloney for you. I'm not going to be part of that. The only time I think you should consider long workouts is if you actually find 3 doctors who insist you do so. Otherwise, I'm going to recommend something completely different for you, something that makes sense given the real science. If all it takes to have hours of the benefit of exercise is to get out of breath, then it stands to reason that you should get out of breath every 4 or 5 hours. This means that every time your metabolism starts to slow back down or get into a less optimal state, you take another couple of minutes to get back out of breath and crank it back up to an optimal level. Remember, EPOC means that your metabolism is bumped up for 4 or 5 hours after getting out of breath. So if you do a 2-minute workout every 5 hours, you keep your metabolism supercharged, optimal, all day long. Do your 2 minutes 3 times a day, and your friends at the gym literally are enjoying less than 1/3 of the exercise benefit you are. Do you get that? Because you're doing that 3 times a day. They're doing their gym once at best. So they get 4 to 5 hours of benefit while you're getting the benefit all day long. So now you know. Whether you believe is up to you. But I'm going to be mean guy again right now. If you don't believe what I just told you, you simply are burying your head in the sand. Also, just Google. If you dig enough, you'll find what I'm saying. Don't look at the pharmaceutical companies and don't look at the big workout companies. They've all got made-up science, the science of muscle confusion. Look that one up. A ton of people believe that as rock-solid science. It's completely made up, and it's the bedrock foundation of one of the biggest fitness programs in the market today. Like I said, everything I told you is stuff you can look up yourself on Google. It's right there behind this screen. Beyond the facts behind what I'm saying, by now you probably can tell by the way I speak that this comes from a place of sincerity and true caring. I hate to see and hear about people suffering with their health when I know the answers can be so simple. I literally feel overwhelmed by the thought because I take this so seriously. You see, I'm not just telling you what to do. I do it all myself as well. I've been the overweight, sick, and tired person, and I've turned it around and am now full of youthful energy and in absolutely optimal physical shape by doing exactly what I've told you so far and what I'm about to tell you right now. So let's give you 2 other really cool ways to boost your metabolism. Here's the second method. I love this one. Green tea. You know, I've cut out sodas because whether it's diet or regular, the science just does not point in a positive direction with that stuff. And, you know, I drink a lot of water, but sometimes I like some flavor, and juice is loaded with sugar. Green tea has been fantastic. Green tea has long been heralded for its antioxidant polyphenols. Polyphenols. Okay, there's a science word for you. Antioxidant polyphenols. But new evidence shows its active ingredient actually cranks up metabolism as well. So the antioxidant, you know, that keeps you young, right? Keeps your body from oxidizing. That definitely causes aging. And now we're talking about that same substance in green tea is also going to optimize your metabolism, help optimize it. So let's give you a third method of boosting your metabolism. And actually, if you don't do what I'm about to tell you, everything else I've taught you actually won't work. Let me repeat that. If you don't do this one thing, there's no way you can boost your metabolism doing anything else. The reason for this is simple. What I'm about to tell you sets your metabolism for the day. And if you set it wrong, you're fighting an uphill battle all day long. Yes, you guessed it. Eat breakfast. Now, spoiler warning. There was a study recently about how eating breakfast doesn't affect weight one way or the other. That may be the case for weight loss. That is not the case for being a healthy human being. Okay? I even suspect the weight loss results, but certainly when it comes to health, this is the way you want to start. And if you're a heavy person like I was, skipping breakfast just makes you that much hungrier later and willing to just let loose of what remaining inhibitions you have with food. So don't skip breakfast. Don't go by one study ever either, folks. So, but it's not just eating breakfast. Listen, this is critical. You need to eat within 1 hour of waking up, period. No excuses, please. The excuses just disgust me, by the way. I used to make them all the time until I disgusted myself. So no excuses. If you don't do this, what happens is that your body doesn't have fresh energy to fuel your day's activities. And so it tells your metabolism to slow down so that it can make the energy it does have last as long as possible. So now you have a super slow metabolism. But what's worse is that the next meal you eat is then processed to be stored as fat because your body believes there is a shortage of food. And this is how the ugly cycle starts. And how many times have you skipped all your meals until dinner, then found yourself uncontrollably ravenous? Yeah, uncontrollably ravenous was my nickname. I thought I was being so good not eating all day long. If only I could restrain myself and just eat a healthy dinner after skipping breakfast and lunch. But funny enough, not only was I unable to control my gorging after starving myself all day, but it also turns out that doing that programs us to store fat instead of burn calories. So your big takeaway, eat in the morning within 1 hour. Do this one thing and you'll lose up to 8 pounds in 1 month just from that. And why is that in light of that study? Well, because you're going to be setting yourself up right, okay? You're seeing a link below for my coaching program. Thanks to technology, for the first time ever, I'm able to take the kind of clients I really like. You. You see, up until now, I've had to focus on my major clients. But thanks to new technologies, I can finally provide services to other people like myself. So instead of paying my regular celebrity rate, I'm going to offer the same service to you at a fraction of the cost. So if you're interested in step-by-step instructions and having me guide you and hold your hand through this, then sign up now. I can only take the first 20 clients because I want to really provide you with the best possible care. So if that's something that interests you, then go ahead and sign up now, as I only will take that first 20 that sign up. If you get through the process, then you're in. If you're not in the first 20, you won't be charged, and I'll put you on my wait list. but definitely click that button right now if you're interested. That about wraps up my presentation for today. So I'll open it up for some questions.